Hi, this is Scott with 4D Tech. Today we are in a 2015 Ford F-150 that came My Ford Touch Sync 2 equipped. We are going to be performing the Sync 2 to Sync 3 upgrade from 4D Tech in this vehicle. We need a few basic tools to do this upgrade. A small socket wrench with a 7mm socket, a T20 Torx. You may also need a T8 Torx as well. 7mm nut driver, and plastic dash removal tools. The 7mm nut driver and the plastic dash tools are available on our website for your convenience. Let's get started. First, we need to remove this upper tray here to gain access to where we're going to put our Sync 3 antenna, and we need to get to the couple screws at the top of this bezel. This vehicle came equipped with a center channel speaker, so we will need to remove that grille as there are two screws underneath that grille to remove this panel. If you do not have the center channel speaker in your model, then the tray liner goes all the way forward and you just take that out and the two screws are underneath there. So on this vehicle, we are going to remove the speaker grille. We'll just put our pry tool underneath the edge of the grill and work our way around, and it will unsnap. With the grill out of the way, in these two holes are 7mm screws that need to come out. You'll use your socket wrench for that. With the screws out, we need to pry the front edge of this tray out by putting our dash removal tool underneath the edge while pulling up and pry up to release the clips. If you have the speaker, you'll need to disconnect it by pushing in on this clip. Right there on the connector, push in on the clip and unplug it. Just remember that you unplug this so that you can plug it back in during reassembly. Next, we need to remove these two 7mm screws that are pointing down at the top of this front dash bezel. With those screws out, we need to pull off this dash bezel. It removes in one piece to down below the heater controls. We'll just work our way around with our dash removal tool. And pull out at the same time. Once we have the dash loose, we need to disconnect the connectors off of this bezel. These top two connectors have a little tab that you can grab with your fingernail at the end of the connector, facing towards the dash. So you push that little tab and unplug the connector. Same thing with the other one. I'll show you on the back of the connector here. That's the little tab that I'm talking about next to my thumbnail. So disconnect these connectors on the back of the control panel. This connector, you push in on the little clip and pull the lever to release it. A lot of these control panels may have just a little push clip underneath to unplug it, like this one right here, which we'll show you. We push in on the clip right there underneath with our finger and then unplug it. And we'll set this panel out of the way momentarily. While we have this dash apart, we need to replace the My Ford Touch hub with the Sync 3 hub from 4D Tech. This is the hub that we need to put into place. So to release this hub, we'll grab our dash removal tools, and we need to get underneath the edge of the hub. And while the dash is off, it's easy to put your hand underneath here on the back of the hub and pry out while you push on the back of the hub. There will be two connectors on the hub here. The USB connector, you push in where my thumb is and pull it out to disconnect it, and then the power connector, there's a clip underneath that I'm pushing on my fingertip, and we unplug that as well. Now the power connector is different on the Sync 3 hub, but we supply an electrical adapter to adapt the connector that's there to the Sync 3 hub. So we'll plug the adapter into the back of the hub, plug the USB cable into the back of the hub, and then plug the connector into the adapter. And we'll just reinstall the hub back into place. Next, we need to remove the 6 screws holding the MyFord touchscreen and module in place. With the 6 screws removed, we pull the screen out. We'll turn it sideways, and there's 2 things that need to be disconnected. This USB cable here, which we'll push in with our thumb and unplug it. And then the large main connector here, we push in on the little clip there that's locking this lever in place with our finger, and pull the lever towards us to release the connector. Next, we'll need to take the brackets off the side of the MyFord Touch Sync 2 screen, and we need to put them on the Sync 3 screen and module that came from 4D Tech. The easiest way to do this is to do it on a protected surface face down on your table or whatever. You can use the foam from the box to set the screens on. In this case, I am going to put a cloth in the opening and set the screen in there just so you can see what I'm doing. So we are going to remove the bracket. This screen has a T20 Torx. We find that on these vehicles a lot of times they actually have a T8 Torx, so be prepared for that to be the case. Now you want to make sure that when you're transferring these brackets over that you're putting them on the same end of the screen. So the one that I just took out of here, the connector was on our right when we had it slid in here. So you want to make sure the orientation is the same so you don't get the brackets mixed up. Now that we have the brackets transferred, we're going to momentarily set this out of the way as we need to still install the GPS antenna for the Sync 3. Now, even if you have navigation in your vehicle now, you need to install this GPS antenna, as the GPS antenna for Sync 2 is not compatible with Sync 3. Also, if you are installing the non-navigation version of Sync 3, you still need to install this antenna as well, as it's needed for features like the compass, 911 assist, and setting the clock. Now, we include in the package a double-sided adhesive pad and some alcohol wipes. So we'll open up the alcohol wipe. We'll clean the back of the antenna, where we'll be putting the adhesive. And on this vehicle, there's a black module right up here at the front of this compartment. And all there is some thin plastic above it. So we're going to put the antenna just right on the edge of that near this opening. So we're going to clean the top of that as well. We'll take our adhesive pad, remove one side, stick it to the antenna. Remove the other side. We'll take the antenna and we'll stick it to there. With the antenna in place, we'll put the excess cable down here with the factory wiring and bring the antenna connection through the opening. Pull this out of the way, and now we just need to install the screen. To install the screen, we take this main connector with the lever still fully pulled out towards us, and we'll push the connector into the module. And as the lever starts to move, push the lever the rest of the way till it clicks and locks it in. The USB cable needs to get plugged into the black USB connector on the brain. The light gray one is unused. I make sure that gets pushed in till it clicks. The new GPS antenna that we just ran, there's a clip on the connector. The clip faces downward and plugs into the antenna connector in the corner of the brain, pushed in till it clicks. And this can also swing around out of the way. With the new Sync 3 screen and API-M connected, we'll push it into the opening, lining back up the brackets, and we'll replace the 6 screws we took out earlier. Now that we have the screws replaced that held the screen in, we need to put the front bezel back on. To reconnect this, we'll take this flat connector with the clip on it facing down, push it until it clips. This connector, we'll push it in until the lever begins to move. And then push the lever to lock it. If you have the other clip style, then this will just push in and lock. These connectors up here, one of them plugs into the first switch here. Make sure the clip is facing away from you. The longer one will plug into the other switch. You'll want to tuck your excess wiring back in that hole where it comes out so it doesn't get caught behind the bezel. And then we just snap the bezel back in place. Now that the bezel's back on, we need to replace the 2 7mm screws. The last thing we need to do is replace the tray up top. If you had the speaker, make sure you reconnect it. Set the tray in place, snap this front edge in, and we'll run the screws back in up front. Alright, now we just need to replace the grille that was over the speaker by snapping it back in. And now that the installation is complete, we'll turn on the truck and we'll let the system fire up. And with the system loading, it may take a few minutes the first time that it loads. And now you see that we have Sync 3 installed. We also installed the navigation version, so you have the navigation icon as well. It'll take a few minutes for the maps to load the first time. And now you see that we have the maps as well. Now you see how simple it is to install the Sync 2 to Sync 3 upgrade from 4D Tech in a 2015 Ford F-150. I am Scott with 4D Tech. Thank you for checking out our video.